Okay, so we are back again in the car. I always record in here because I just got used to it. But let me actually open the window before I do anything. This thing is like hanging down. It's supposed to be up here, but it's... Maybe I'll put this on. Should I put this on? I'm not comfortable right now. I'm getting hot right away, but it's okay. Today I'm going to explain why I believe so much that getting out of your comfort zone is the key to growth. And I know this firsthand. I know the secondhand by listening to other people's stories, you know, really experiencing just different ways that it's helped me as well. But I'm gonna start from when I was such a good student in school, because I really did used to be a really good student. I always had straight A's. I would always listen in class. I was quiet when I was younger. Everyone knew me as the quiet person, but I was really smart as well. It wasn't until my late teenage years that I actually started thinking for myself, because when I was in elementary school, when I was in middle school, when I was in high school, I would have like my parents, I would have my teachers tell me, oh, do this, do that, this is what's gonna make you successful, this is what, you know, this is what's gonna lead to you living a good life, having a stable job, a career, like a professional career and all of that. And listen, when it comes to stability, sorry, I had to fix the chair, but when it comes to stability, I agree 100% that, you know, if you, like, for example, if you become a doctor, or if you study to become a lawyer and you get a good stable job, then yes, you'll be successful if that's your idea of success. You see, the way that I view it is success is subjective. It really depends on the person that you're asking. You know, one idea of success for this person may not be what success is for the other person, and that's fine, because everyone operates from a different worldview. So the way that they see success and the way that they see, oh, this is how I've made it, is different, because we all grew up differently. But the way that I grew up, coming from an Asian household, my entire family is Filipino. We came from the Philippines, and we valued so much, like, you know, going to college and getting a good career. You know, a lot of Filipinos are in the medical field. I never saw myself as being in the medical field. I always thought that I was gonna, you know, end up being an architect. And as I grew up, people always said, you know, oh, you're so good at drawing, you're so good at designing, and they always knew that I was gonna become an architect. And that was genuinely what I thought was the right path for me. I'm not saying that that's the wrong path. I'm not saying that if you want to be an architect and you see that as successful, I think you should go for it if you really want to, right? But this is where it really comes down to this, like, is what people are telling you really what you want? Like, are you choosing this path because you genuinely want to choose this path, or are you choosing this path just because you've been told your entire life that this is the right path for you? And there's a big difference between the two. One of them, where you actually want to work as an architect or work as whatever, you choose that and you're conscious that you chose it, and that's what you define success as. But if you're running on someone else's definition of success and you're only choosing that career path because everyone else told you to do so, or everyone else thinks that that's the best thing for you, but you deep down you know that that's not the thing for you. If you believe that, then you're living your life reactively as opposed to proactively. And what I mean is that, okay, you're very passive when it comes to, you know, the beliefs that you take in. The reason why I'm saying this is because 2 years ago, when I had to, you know, actually decide for myself, okay, what am I actually gonna pursue? When I was like in junior year of high school and senior year of high school, like people, like teenagers in this age group, it's the time when they start thinking about, okay, what do I actually want to do with my life? Like, do I want to go to college? Do I not want to go to college? Etc. And so for me, I remember when I was starting to apply for colleges, and I had to like fill out, what are your extracurriculars that you've done, what are your achievements outside of school, because the way that college is in the US is, especially when you try to get into competitive colleges, is they look not only at your academic record, but they look at, what do you do outside of school? And that's where being proactive comes into play. Now, when I grew up, I didn't really do any extracurriculars. I didn't really join that many clubs or things like that. I just did the bare minimum for me to, I wouldn't say like the complete bare minimum, but I didn't always go above and beyond to, to achieve this or to achieve that. I remember I did a math competition and we almost made it to New York, but we didn't. But that was with a group. I also did like other extracurriculars. It wasn't like I just absolutely did nothing, but I realized, I remember sitting there in my chair, and before I came up with anything, I was like, wait, what have I actually achieved outside of school? Because I was such a good student. Like, I always had A's, I always had good grades, perfect attendance as well. And so what was I actually doing outside of high school? What was I doing to actually pursue what I enjoyed doing? I genuinely, I guess I could come up with a couple of things, but in the grand scheme of things, I was not proactive in my life. For me, it was like, okay, I have an assignment, I have a project, and then I just did that. And after I completed all of my assignments, I was done. That was literally it. And as long as my grades were good, as long as my grades were good, as long as I completed my assignments on time, I was fine. And then I realized at that point, what have I actually achieved? Yeah, academic success is one thing, but that's not the only thing that matters in life. And especially when it comes to the real world, that is really not the only thing that matters. So I had to learn how to be more proactive. I had to learn that, I had to think for myself. I had to do things that I actually enjoy doing and really ask myself, is this really the path that I want to take? Or is this a path that has been, so deeply ingrained into my brain, but it's not really the path that I want to go down? And for me, it was the latter. Listen, I love architecture and I love drawing and I love all of that. But when it comes to defining success for me, I don't see me being an architect as what's successful. I know that I have so much potential, and yes, I could probably reach 50% of my potential as an architect, but in my opinion, we only have one life, and I want to make the most of my life, and I want to become the best version of myself. And I want to grow not only career-wise, but I want to grow as a human being. I want to grow, become the best version of myself in all aspects of my life. And guys, I completely forgot why I started this video. Okay, I remember. Comfort. So that path, the architecture path, was really comfortable for me. Number one, because I knew that I could be a great architect. I had what it took to become a great, exceptional architect. But that was comfort for me. Listening to what everyone else told me to do, getting good grades, that was comfortable for me, simply because that was the only thing that I knew in my life ever since I was young. It was always good grades, always be on time in class, never miss a day, all of that. That was what was comfortable for me. But where did that really take me? It didn't really take me anywhere in life. If you look at it in the real world, aside from academic success, I was just, for lack of better words, I was brainless. I didn't think for myself. And the moment that I stepped out of my comfort zone and I asked myself, okay, is this really something that I want to do? Or is this not something that I want to do? The moment that I actually thought that through and made the decision was when my life changed, when I started growing. So yeah, I was I always expected to get a degree in architecture. I always expected to become successful that way, to have a stable job. But when I switched my major to business, it was people didn't really expect that from me, but that was what I genuinely wanted, because I knew that I had potential there and that I could do a lot more than if I just pursued architecture. And this is a very personal story to me. Everyone's story is going to be different, but what I defined as comfort was just listening to what everyone else was saying and doing that. And discomfort for me was, actually choosing myself and choosing what I really wanted over what everyone else wanted for me. That was really uncomfortable because it was like breaking out of this idea that people had of you in their brains and presenting yourself as someone else. So last year, that was when I started my first business. Actually, it was late 2023. But yeah, late 2023, 2024, I started two businesses. They didn't really get anywhere. They were, I wouldn't say failed businesses because I learned a lot from them, but I didn't stick with them eventually. Like in the long run, I didn't stick with them. First one was affiliate marketing. I was doing Pinterest affiliate marketing. I made a couple of sales, but I didn't get any money simply because the commissions that I made was so small that they couldn't write a check for it. This was for Amazon, by the way. So Amazon affiliate marketing. And then the second one was a marketing agency. I was trying to run ads for gyms. That didn't work out. I just gave up before I ever saw anything. Was on two sales offers. And the thing about sales is it really pushes you to get out of your comfort zone. Just the environment, especially in the online sales space, the people that I was surrounded with when I was learning sales, they always preach push yourself out of your comfort zone because that's how you're going to grow. That's what my mentor always told me. And so it was just a really good environment to be around. I was just looking at it from okay, this is what traditional school looks like, where the base for success or the metrics for success is did you get a good grade on your test? Did you finish all your assignments? Are you always in class? And whereas on the other hand, this online community that I was in for sales was kind of the opposite. Nobody forced you to be in the live sessions. Nobody forced you to even join the community, right? It wasn't mandatory, but we were all there and we were always pushing ourselves out of our comfort zones, which I don't see enough of in traditional schools. Last year, when I grew the most personally and when I became a more developed individual, simply because I was able to think for myself and proactively steer my life, as opposed to just turning left whenever people told me to turn left and turning right whenever people told me to turn right. It was me choosing which direction I actually wanted to go to. And maybe for example, with my businesses, they didn't work out in the beginning. Then I pivoted, but I made that conscious choice to start that business, and I made the conscious choice to stop that business as well. And I've learned so much from that. And I've learned so much from running those two businesses that I would never have learned in school. And this is not to put traditional school down, because listen, there are so many things that you learn in traditional school, but it doesn't teach you everything that you need to know in life. And so you have to proactively, push yourself out of your comfort zone and make those decisions for yourself to actually be a more well-rounded person and individual to navigate the nuances of life. Yeah, same trajectory in 2025. I wouldn't say completely the same as 2024. I've made some pivots. Started another business, this time with a business partner. And so I'm working on that. I had another sales offer that I was on earlier this year. And I developed more. I would say last year was more me developing my motivation and discipline that I needed. They were developing the foundations, and now is more, I'm gonna close the window. And now in 2025, it's more I'm trying to refine what I've been learning in 2024 and become a more emotionally mature individual that's more open-minded when it comes to different perspectives. That's what I've really been focusing on this year. As we grow up, we are taught these specific belief systems by our parents and our teachers, not only about school and careers and education, but just everything. And that really affects how we think and behave as we grow older, but it doesn't have to be set in stone. So that's where open-mindedness comes in. I can talk for an hour or so, probably more than an hour, about that topic, so I'm not going to talk about that right now. But yeah, I've just learned so much by pushing myself out of my comfort zone. And if there's anything that you can take out of this video, you stay in your comfort zone, you're going to cruise. But if you want to actually become the person that you want to be, you need to grow and evolve as a person. And you can't grow and evolve as an individual if you don't push yourself, if you don't challenge yourself. So whether that means having a difficult conversation, whether that means, you know, telling people, okay, this is how I want to live my life, and this is not how I want to live my life, and this is my decision. Whether that means switching degrees because you really don't want to be in the degree that you're in right now, whether that means switching career paths, whether that means just putting yourself out there in front of people. Whatever it is, you should know deep down in your core, like, what's something uncomfortable that you've been avoiding. And the moment that you face that and you're like, okay, in order to grow, I have to do this. The moment that you actually do that and push yourself out of your comfort zone, you will realize how impactful that decision will be. Maybe you don't realize that at the moment, but if you look back at that moment in a month's time, in 3 months' time, a year, you will see how much that decision actually has changed you, and you'll be grateful that you did it. But yeah, that is it. I hope you took something out of this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.